Hello, dog walkers. Welcome to Dog Walk Reflections.
I'm James, broadcasting from my quiet retreat at the bottom of the garden, snuggled up with my little canine friend Dobby. As you step out with your dog or dogs today, we'll be walking alongside you in spirit, offering gentle reflections to bring more ease and clarity to your mind. This podcast is for all walkers who need a moment of calm to meditate and reflect on life's questions. So leash up, listen in, and let's walk in stillness together. If possible, turn off all notifications and listen through headphones. Let's begin with some breath work. If your eyes are closed, imagine walking a forest path. The air is still. Light filters gently through the trees. With each step, your body feels lighter and lighter. With each breath, you release tension. Again, each step feels lighter and lighter. Again, each step feels lighter and lighter. Look at the beautiful nature all around you. Each breath carries away a worry. You don't need to solve anything right now, just be. Today's reflection: is it important for our recovery and well-being to practice forgiveness? I think it's important to establish what we mean by forgiveness. Immanuel Kant, a German philosopher, describes forgiveness as refraining from repaying another's enmity with hatred out of mere revenge. Here, forgiveness is seen as an individual's personal and private response to wrongdoing, which involves overcoming the hateful desire for excessive revenge. Here, forgiveness means choosing not to let hatred or revenge take root in us. Many philosophers agree that true forgiveness isn't about excusing, justifying, or forgetting. It's about recognizing, letting go, and moving on. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "Forgiveness is not an occasional act, it is a permanent attitude." Empirical studies have shown that forgiveness decreases anger, anxiety, and depression, and increases self-esteem and hopefulness for the future. It's important we aim for a peaceful life as possible. It means controlling our stress, worries, and anxieties, laying down thoughts that no longer serve us. I think enmity towards another leads to rumination, which leads to stress, and this impacts our body in a very negative way. There are a lot of opinions out there about forgiveness. Modern experts will tell you that you should not forgive. Self-help articles extol the virtues of not forgiving those who have hurt us because it invalidates the abuse we've experienced and the trauma we may slowly be working through. Let's dive into what some of our great thinkers had to say about forgiveness. According to Aristotle, goodness is to do good to the deserving and love the good and hate the wicked, but not be eager to inflict punishment or take vengeance, but to be gracious and kindly and forgiving. So we recognize others' acts for what they are, but good people let things go. It's about being wise and also morally virtuous. The late Pope Francis said, "As the Lord has forgiven you, so should you do. But if you do not know how to forgive, you are not a Christian, because you do not do as the Lord did. Moreover, if you do forgive, you cannot receive the Lord's peace, the Lord's forgiveness." Indeed, Jesus Christ said about forgiveness, according to the Bible, "Love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those who mistreat you. Then your reward will be great, and you will be children of the Most High, because He is kind to the ungrateful and the wicked. Be merciful, just as your Father is merciful." Jesus even said that when we don't forgive people, we will also be judged in the same way. I think many of Jesus' teachings were about how to live a happy and content life. He was saying, if we don't forgive others, we'll suffer, and it's also important to seek forgiveness for our own mistakes. Albert Einstein said, "Weak people take revenge, strong people forgive, intelligent people ignore." It's definitely interesting to ponder this thought. What is the difference between forgiveness and ignoring another's behavior? Chinese philosopher Confucius said, "Love thy neighbor as thyself. Do not do to others what thou wouldst not wish be done to thyself. Forgive injuries, forgive thy enemy, be reconciled to him, give him assistance, invoke God on his behalf." He said, "Forgiveness liberates the soul, it removes fear. That's why it's such a powerful weapon." A number of years ago, when I first fell chronically sick, my partner at the time, I didn't feel was there for me. They didn't understand the depths of my suffering. I often went to doctor's appointments alone, and I felt quite isolated on my journey. To me, it felt like I was a huge inconvenience. It's hard to leave someone you love, but that's the path I chose. For years after, I'd think about the way they had let me down, but I realized I played my part in the situation, painting a smile on my face and not demanding what I needed. When I truly forgave them for not supporting me, I put the whole thing down. It felt an amazing freedom and a relief. I'd been carrying all this anger and resentment, and I chose to put it down, and I felt lighter. Rumi was a 13th century poet. On forgiveness he wrote, "As long as you cannot forgive your own mistakes, you cannot forgive others. It may look like we have forgiven ourselves or others, yet the unconscious mind will not lie, and thus, if the forgiveness has been fake, the bad feeling of being guilty or of anger or of shame will appear in our dreams." I think this is about doing the work, not saying we forgive because intellectually we know we should, but then we're still harboring some corner of resentment. Sometimes we genuinely think we've forgiven, but something happens and we realize it's still there. The Dalai Lama's message on forgiveness, I think, is crucial. He wrote, "Until we can forgive the person who's harmed us, that person will hold the keys to our happiness. That person will be our jailer. When we forgive, we take back control of our own fate and our own feelings. We become our own liberator. A happy mind is a healthy mind, and a healthy mind is good for the body." I think sometimes we can feel that if we forgive, the other person has won in some way or got away with something. I think the Dalai Lama's reframing reminds us that forgiving is a positive position to take. I love his analogy of the keys to our own prison. Many times in life, we create our own jail. Now I want you to take a moment to think about someone you haven't forgiven. Is it worth holding on to these feelings? Do you want the feeling of resentment to go? You hold the keys. Perhaps it's time to unlock your jail. Forgive not because others deserve it, but because you deserve peace. In Buddhism, forgiveness is not about turning the other cheek or letting someone continue to get away with their behavior that is mean or heartless. Real forgiveness is about letting go. Forgiveness doesn't mean you accept what they did, but what happened doesn't bother or control you anymore. Buddhism teaches us that by becoming aware, we are able to forgive. Forgiveness is done through the practice of repeating phrases of forgiveness towards oneself, towards those who have harmed us, and towards those whom we have harmed. The Stoics recognize that forgiveness is a powerful antidote for anger, and there is a connection between the Stoic advice to remove anger and their exhortations to forgive each other. Stoicism acknowledges that people mistreat people and cause them pain, and it recognizes that the main cause for one's pain comes from within oneself. It is also recognized that nobody does wrong willingly, and so wrongdoers act out of ignorance. I think the Stoics saw failing to forgive as carrying someone else's weight, which is all rather futile. The older I get, the more I appreciate what Shakespeare had to say about the human condition. On forgiveness, he wrote in one of my favourite of his plays, The Winter's Tale. Do as the heavens have done, forget your evil. With them forgive yourself. Pray you now forget and forgive. It is in pardoning that we are pardoned. I pardon him as God shall pardon me. Shakespeare's work explores the intricacies of forgiveness. Through his work, Shakespeare demonstrates that forgiveness is not only a moral virtue, but also a powerful tool for redemption, healing, and personal growth. I think most of the great thinkers had the same central message. The act that hurt or offended you might always be with you, but working on forgiveness can lessen that act's grip and the pain it inflicts on you. But I'd like you to keep in mind that it's natural to feel resentment when people don't understand your invisible struggle. If you find yourself thinking about the friend who criticized you, try to forgive, because most people who have not suffered simply don't understand the depths of our suffering. Forgive them because they are not bad people. They merely don't have a frame of reference. I think it's very important to always try to look at somebody's intention. I try to remind myself that their intention is only to help me. In the next week, if you find yourself thinking about somebody from the past, ruminating about an event or how someone has hurt you, ask, is this worth holding on to? Are you able to put it down so you are no longer carrying these feelings? I think many of the great thinkers all emphasize the importance of forgiving yourself for not being perfect or being angry at yourself. Remember, there's nothing wrong with you. You're not defective goods because you're struggling. These are the cards that life has dealt. Try to use your struggles to enrich your life. We probably wouldn't have had this time together. And this is propelling you forward to being a more rounded, content, empathetic, and emotionally richer person. There's an old saying that goes like this: unforgiveness is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Lay the poison down. Choose peace. On a lighter note, a writer of great renown, and I adore his plays, Oscar Wilde quipped, "Always forgive your enemies. Nothing annoys them so much." Let's end today's episode with a short poem. A poem on forgiveness. Forgiveness is a river. It soothes the stones of spite. It smooths out all the edges. It turns the dark to light. Forgiveness is a lantern. It shines where shadows stay. It frees the heart from bondage and guides us on our way. Forgiveness is a whisper. It tells us we are whole. It loosens pain's tight fingers and nourishes our soul. On our next episode, I think we'll reflect on being busy and whether busyness truly serves us. Until our next walk together, breathe deeply and keep noticing and appreciating the wonderful things that our dogs bring to our lives. And remember, peace is never far away. Embrace the stillness within and know that you are enough exactly as you are. This is James with Dobby signing off from the bottom of the garden with peace, love, hope and perseverance.